In this video, we're going to talk about logarithmic functions. Let's say we have y equals b to the x, where this is an exponential function. And do you remember how to find the inverse function? First, we need to interchange x and y. So we need to do x equals b to the y. And we need to solve for y to find the inverse. But how are we going to do this? How are we going to find the solve for y? That's why we have a logarithmic function. We say y is log base b of x. So if you have f of x equals b to the x, the inverse of exponential function, so inverse of exponential is log base b of x. Of course, b has to be positive and b cannot equal to 1. And same rule applies over here. B has to be greater than 0 and cannot equal to 1. And also x has to be greater than 0. X has to be positive. So if you think about it, right, log is basically the exponent. So log is an exponent. If you remember this, if you remember that log is an exponent, it's going to help you to solve logarithmic problems. So when you have y equals 2 to the x, which is an exponential function, and y equals log base 2 of x, which is inverse of y equals 2 to the x. Now, when they're inverse of one another, remember, graphically, when you fold the paper along the y equals x, they will overlap. So basically, it's a reflection with respect to y equals x. And they are. This is a log base 2 of x, and that's y equals 2 to the x. So let's do some examples. Let's evaluate these logs. Remember, log is an exponent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to represent this whole thing as y. And I'm going to say we need to change the logarithmic to exponential form. So here's a base. Base is 3. And this is an exponent. So base 3 to the y equals 81. Now, in order to solve for y, we need to have a same base. So we need to change 81 in terms of base 3. So you get 3 to the y is 3 to the 4th power. Right? 3 to the 4th power is 81. Now base is 3. So in order for this to equal to each other, y has to equal to 4. That means this whole thing is equal to 4. Okay, what about log base 5 of square root of 5? Again, let's say that this whole thing is y. So we're going to say, what is the base? Base is 5 here. So 5 to the power of y is going to equal to radical 5. I just changed the logarithmic to exponential. Now, again, in order for this to equal to each other, you need to have a same base. So this is 5 to the y equals 5 to the 1/2. Now you have a same base. So in order for these two to be equal to each other, y should equal to 1/2. Therefore, this whole thing is equal to 1/2. Now, let's evaluate log base 2 of 1 over 49. So again, let's represent this whole thing as y. And remember, log is an exponent. So base 7 to the power of y is equal to 1 over 49. And you know that 1 over 49 is same thing as 1 over 7 squared. So we need to have a same base of 7. So I'm going to write it as 7 to the y equals, now 1 over 7 squared is same thing as 7 to the negative 2. So now we have a same base of 7. Therefore, y is equal to negative 2. So that means this whole thing is equal to negative 2. Now what about log base 2 of 2? Again, let's represent this whole thing as y. So base is 2. So 2 to the power of y, because y is an exponent, is equal to 2. Now what's the exponent here? It's invisible, so it's 1. Now you have a same base of 2. So in order for this to equal to each other, that means y is equal to 1. Therefore, this whole thing is equal to 1. Let's evaluate log base 5 of 125. Again, let's call this whole thing equal to y. And let's change it to exponential form. So 5 to the y equals 125. And we need to have a same base. So 5 to the y equals 5 to the third. Therefore, y is equal to 3, which means that this whole thing is equal to 3. Now what about this one? 12 to the log base 12 of 4.7. Now be careful. This is an exponential form. Base is 12. Exponent is log base 12 of 4.7. So if you change it to logarithmic form, remember log is an exponent. So this is an exponent right here. Log base 12, 4.7 is equal to log, what is the base? 12 of, let's call it a y. Okay, so this whole thing we're going to call it a y. So when you change that to a logarithmic form, this is what you get. So now, in order for this to equal to each other, look, this is a log base 12, log base 12, and only if y is equal to 4.7, these two are equal to each other. So 4.7 is equal to y, therefore this whole thing is equal to 4.7, because we said that this whole thing is what? Y.